First of all, we have to address asset ownership. In most European countries, and it varies, 1 in 4 or 1 in 3 even of us don't own. We don't own our own homes, and we don't own anything else. And it's very important that everybody owns. There shouldn't be a dispossessed class.
But that is, correct me if I'm wrong, that sounds like communism.
It's not communism because I don't believe in the state. I think the state is just another mechanism of disempowerment. I believe in markets, but I don't believe in capitalist markets. I believe in local civic markets. So, for instance, if everybody owned, and there wasn't just an exclusive dispossessed class, then, as it were, there wouldn't be a radically insecure bottom 20 or 30% of society that causes problems for everybody else. The second thing we need to do is, since wages are no longer enough, is all employees should have shares, should have some form of share ownership or some form of speculation in their own company.
So everybody should be a capitalist?
Yes, I mean, the point I would say is there's too much capital and too few capitalists. In a way that what we should do is, because the free market tends to monopoly, what we should do is try to restore the free market, try to restore a market where, as it were, people are more equal in its participation. And if, for instance, if everybody who's an employee owns shares, that's one of the biggest indicators of productivity for a company. Whereas at the moment, under neoliberalism, we give the CEOs share options, and it's a complete disaster. They falsely ramp up the value of the company to maximise their own returns and get out. The third thing we need to do, and this is really important, is we need to restore local economies. Corporations have destroyed all of our local ability to be self-sufficient. So another way of saying what's wrong with our lives is none of us are self-sufficient. Look at the food market in Britain. We used to be a nation of shopkeepers. And what it meant is we were a nation of a civic society. We're a self-sufficient people that sold things to each other and innovated. In Britain, in the food market, just 5 supermarket chains dominate. They've destroyed all of our town centres. They all look the same.
It's the same in Denmark.
The same in Denmark. They've destroyed local economies. What I love about France is when you get out of the metro, you walk home, and everybody's their own little shareholder. They have their own little business. Well, they make enough. They don't make that much, but they make enough. A much better life. But in countries, as you say, like your own...
But at the same time, French economy is going down the drain.
Well, the French economy is going down the drain precisely because that's what's happened is the state. This is the point. The state and the market are in a kind of alliance to produce neoliberalism, and the state, as it were, has destroyed innovation and investment for ordinary people by being too bureaucratic and too powerful. It actually stifles the development of small businesses into large businesses through very high rates of taxation. So what I want to suggest is exactly that needs to be recovered. So we need to get the state out of the local market and the corporations out of the local market. So that, for instance, let me give you a figure. In Britain, if you spend £1 in a supermarket, only 50p of that will circulate in your local economy. If you spend £1 in a local shop, £2 are generated for your local economy. And I believe in a society where everybody owns, everybody has a business or a stake in some way in that. And then that produces genuinely a shared world where there aren't people sectioned off.
But isn't that, some would say that is romanticism, that you know, we need the output, the production output of mega-scale capitalism.
Again, not true. I mean, this is the ideology that sold us. Actually, if you look at rates of productivity for Britain and the US, they've been below France for 40 years. And yet France, they work less, and somehow they achieve more. What does France do? France has much more of a civil and civic economy. Same with Northern Italy. And it's exactly this that we need to foster. Oddly enough, local economies are more productive. For instance, they've shown that farmland in America that is farmed organically and in a small way without using mass machines. Because the mass machines they use for cereal cultivation destroy the soil. They smash it up and they destroy its structure. But the way, for instance, the Amish function, Amish fields are more productive than the mega fields producing owned by the multinational companies.
So we want to be like Amish French people.
We want to use modern technology so that we can, in some sense, restore variation and productivity to ordinary people.
Yes.
It remains true that ordinary people are entrepreneurs. Think of restaurants. We all know what a good restaurant is. We all know what a good cook is. And the market works very well in restaurants because we don't go to bad restaurants, we go to good ones. We can have this in all areas of our lives: food, shopping, fashion, design, manufacture.
You also want religion back.
Yes, I mean, this is very interesting because modern capitalism destroys high culture. And most Marxists, and I'm not a Marxist, but most Marxists argue capitalism was inevitable, but it wasn't. Capitalism needed to destroy culture, and culture is always a patterning, a saying that we will do this, but we won't do this. So, for instance, the Christian injunction against slavery prevented trade in human beings. And it's always an ethical decision as to what you trade. Should we trade human organs? Should we trade babies? Should we trade cloned meat? Precisely recovering religion is recovering the idea of a shared cultural space within which we can talk about what's good for human beings and assert that sort of value system over against the economic and the state. So recovering religion is, in a way, recovering objectivity and debate around objectivity.
Yes. This, to me, sounds, your suggestions for fighting this development or for restoring civic society sounds radical, but at the same time you are a conservative.
Yes.
So in a way you are a radical conservative.
I think that I would call myself a red Tory in the sense that I'm a radical or a red insofar as I believe that the goods of the world should be shared amongst all members of the world, that all people are productive and all should benefit. So,
and actually, you're working on a book now called Red Tory
yes.
or Red Conservative,
yes,
which will be out next year.
Yes.
Mr. Blunt, it's time for you to say goodnight to the viewers of the 11th hour, and you will use this camera.
Well, I'd like to say good night, and hopefully we're now looking at the twilight of the sort of capitalism that's been practiced for far too long, and also the end of the state that's disempowered so much. But what I'd like to say to the left liberals who think that sort of the world is the good world is that your soft left liberalism is part of what's destroyed the culture worth having and has produced the hard right. It's time for you to become more conservative, to talk about values that are objective and beyond choice and freedom, and in some sense rooted in a life worth having. And that's the debate you have to have if you want another sort of world.
Thank you.
Did you think that went well?
Yeah. Are you pleased with yourself?
I have a wonderful time. I love this sort of conversation.
I think it was pretty high power talk.